Well, here we are again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are somewhere in the world, and one of those apply to you. Absolutely. Welcome to another great day. As you always know, my mantra is that it's a new year, it's a new you. Every day is a new opportunity to reinvent yourself. What you did yesterday determines your success level today. So it's a new year, it's a new you. And of course, my main mantra is the year of no excuses. We must inspire until we expire. That excites me. Inspire. No matter what our age, we must inspire until we expire. So, welcome to another broadcast of Win with Willie Leadership Talk Show. What a great way to start today. What we do not see, what most of us never suspect of existence, is the silent but irresistible power which comes to the rescue of those who fight on in the face of discouragement. And that quote is by Napoleon Hill. Absolutely, a phenomenal quote by Napoleon Hill. And we all have that silent but irresistible power to fight on in the face of opposition and discouragement. And let me tell you something, folks. It resides in all of us. And Win with Willie Talk Show is about encouraging us to fight on, to lead on, to serve on, to grow on, so we can reach our God-given fullest potential and becoming the best version of ourselves. Because you and I know the best gift that you and I can give our family, our community, and our organization is the best version of ourselves. And how do you and I become the best version of ourselves? I am so thankful that you asked. We must first learn to lead ourselves. You and I cannot give what we do not have. I'm smiling because today I have my friend, a marketing expert, a phenomenal child of God. I tell you what, Lorena Valencia is with us today. And I just want to share a few things in her bio about this amazing person right now, Lorena. Lorena started her entrepreneurship journey at the age of 15. Man, all I wanted to do was play football. And man, I didn't want to care nothing about working well, I did work because I'm a country boy, so I worked. But guess what she was doing? She was selling vacuum cleaners door to door. Not me, not me. For many years after selling vacuum cleaners, she studied management, marketing, and sales, worked for 12 years with a nonprofit, and landed a corporate job at a fast growing law firm in South Florida. But guess what? Life happens. After a terrifying medical diagnosis, Lorena quit her job and had to quickly make her life changes to save her life and be present for her husband's and three sons. I love that. Absolutely. What's important. After working on the health, her next goal was to have freedom and help others with their businesses. This is when her passion for marketing solution exploded as the ASYEGO was born. Lorena's strong background in management allowed her to bring cost-effective solutions to businesses that are struggling with prospecting. Her sales experience allows her to understand the client's prospects and sales process, and the strong values placed by her late father and her late mother has always motivated her to always work with integrity and excellence. She and her amazing team has run hundreds of campaigns, have gathered thousands of leads, is now looking for the next successful client. And that's you, those who are listening in. Lorena is married to Louise for 15 years, and they have three amazing sons. So, Rolina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Professor Jeff. It's such an honor to be here and a privilege to be part of, the show and your audience. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, it's an honor to have you. You ready to have some fun, ma'am? You ready
Definitely.
to? You ready to go?
I think we've had some crazy conversations and good conversations, and I think we're just gonna bring that live now. So that's gonna be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, since we're gonna have some fun, and you want to talk about your niche and what you do and how you help people, but I want you to share with my audience, because they heard all this phenomenal bio and how you helping people and they becoming millionaires across the world, and they're becoming millionaires and they have got free time to hang out with their family. But what's your free time like? What's some interesting fun facts about you?
So I definitely love to spend time with family. I think that's originally why I got out of the corporate world, was because I wanted to be with family. One of the things that we love doing is we love hiking. We like exploring the outdoors. As you mentioned, I have 3 boys, and the more we can spend with them, with that valuable time, I think my husband and I, that time is important for us. So that's what we enjoy. I really enjoy just being with my family.
Look at there. That's important. That's significantly important. And why are you with your family? And I think you probably a health person for some reason. I just sense that about you. You love staying healthy. And so this might not be a good question for you, but it may. Even I stay fairly healthy as well. What's your favorite dessert?
I think baklavas. Very specific. I love baklavas.
Oh my goodness. When you want to tell us why you love that baklava so much.
So it's made, it has like honey, and they have sometimes it has pistachios and almonds, and there's different varieties of it. I love it. I love almond, and sometimes I don't know how to make baklavas, but I'll just put nuts together and honey and pistachios and almond butter and come up with something crazy just to try to get that taste. But I failed to do so. I have to go get the baklava.
You got to go get it.
I got to go buy it. Yeah.
You got to go buy it. Now, are you sharing that with your 3 sons, or is it something just for you?
I'll share. I'll buy their own. Yeah. I'm not sharing.
Yeah, don't touch mom. There you go.
Yeah. They'll get their ice cream, and they like baklavas too, but they're always going for the brownie with the ice cream, so that happens too.
In other words, they put more sugar to theirs than you add to yours. So don't touch mom. You hear that, sons? Don't touch mom's baklava. That's important. She want her own. She's gonna buy you yours. It's so special though that she will buy yours as well. You mentioned hiking in your intro as well, that you and your sons and your husband love to hike. What is your favorite vacation spot though, and why? Why do you like what particular place around the globe, around this country, in your favorite vacation spot?
We used to live in Miami about 8 years ago, and we used to enjoy the beach. And I think now that we're in Georgia right now, we're closer to the mountains. It makes us want to spend more time, when we're not in the mountain. Now that we live in the mountains, or we're surrounded by mountains, when we want to go on vacation, we want to go towards the beach. And we found a really, really nice spot in Florida called Destin Beach. And it's just beautiful. We went there last year and we just enjoyed it. It was a beautiful beach, very family environment. The sand was like a soft white powder. It was incredible. The water was clear. It was just beautiful. So it's been one of our favorite spots.
It is absolutely gorgeous in Destin, Florida. That is the place for all the folks from Lower Alabama, from Texas. That's where they get to Florida. They get right there in that northern, what I call that panhandle of Florida, and that's where they stay. It's absolutely gorgeous there as well, which is the Gulf part of Florida. That's why people love it. The water is absolutely beautiful. Enjoying that. Go ahead.
A couple of I think it's maybe 2 hours more south, you have Siesta Key in Sarasota, which is beautiful. So it's super close too.
Absolutely. I love Florida. My wife and I lived there for several years in Clearwater, which is the beautiful white sand that you're referring to as well. Absolutely. All right, here we are. I'm sorry, but I got to get serious. I got to get focused. Got to get focused, because you have a message, a powerful message that I'm going to allow you to share with my audience today. And I want you to start based on based on this. Tell the listeners about your journey to leadership, primarily journey to where you are, and how did you get to where you are today? Because that's an interesting story, and my audience needs to know that because you are extremely successful. I always use this as an analogy. You see my glory, but you don't know my story. Let me share my story, and then you understand my journey. So share.
I saw that in your introduction. That's very powerful. I saw that. Very
Yes.
cool.
So go ahead, tell the audience about your journey.
So I am originally from Colombia. I was born in Cali, Colombia. Both of my parents were born there. And I would say that my first exposure to leadership is actually being a good follower. So I think that very young, I acknowledged leadership and I wanted it from a follower perspective. I I would look forward to instructions. I would look forward to leadership. I wasn't that type of individual that would be like neglecting leadership or did not. I wanted the leadership. I will always look forward to. And I think it has to do because I also had a lot of leadership in my home when I was being raised. My father was a very strict and organized individual, very old school, very respectful. I had to address him, yes, sir, yeah, no, sir. I had to address my mother, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. So it was just roots that were put on me. And then the first example of leadership that I saw was from him and my mother. I saw their integrity. I saw their work ethic. I saw their discipline. I saw their commitment. And these are all, even though they didn't own a business, right? They had values that are incredibly important when you're a leader. So that was my first leadership experience. Like my father would tell me things like, you have to do good because of like, this is good for you. It's not going to be good for me. You have to pay attention in school because it's good for you. When you're going to do something, do it with excellence. But he wasn't just showing me that advice, telling me that advice. He would always show it. So I think that's another exposure of leadership that I have. What he would tell me, I would see it in his actions.
Look at that.
And I would see it. So I think my first exposure was that I had a leadership environment at home. And then in other places as I went, I always enjoyed leadership. I always liked leadership. I always looked for leadership. I always knew how to select your leaders because there's good leaders and there's bad leaders too. And that's how my journey has been. And through different experiences, I had different jobs, I had different opportunities. As I mentioned in my bio, I got into sales. I started working when I was 15 years old. I started doing door-to-door sales. I was selling vacuum cleaners. And then that led me to understand people. And then I had that people-to-people connection. And then I think that also, I wasn't a leader initially, but it led me to face people to people. That is something that a leader also has to experience with, because automatically we just don't get put into power. You have to feel, you have to touch the person, you have to see the needs of people. You have to walk in their shoes, you have to see what they're living for. And I think that helps you later on, to be a good leader. So I think that's a little bit about the journey, just being a good follower first.
That's it. Absolutely. You said it's a tremendous amount. And one of the things, multiple takeaways is that leaders ask for a heart before they ask for a hand. They have to know the person's heart and the needs of that person before you start tasking them to do things. What are their heart? Do you know them? Do you know their goals? Do you know their aspiration? Do you know their life's journey? And once you connect with them, they tend to follow your vision and follow your leadership. And you had that model in your parents, because people don't do what you say, they do what you do. And so
Exactly.
You had that role model, because other words, your father's words synced with his actions.
Exactly.
And sometimes our words is incongruent with our actions, and you don't follow the words, you follow the actions. And that's important that you highlight that and emphasize that. So leaders are you out there, and parents are you out there. And so if you're saying things to your children but your actions incongruent with what you're saying, remember, your children is going to do what you do. They won't do what you say.
Yes.
And leadership starts first in the home. And that was the
Totally.
in the
Totally.
home. In the home, that's where your first models start. And I would even put education. Your education starts first in the home. The responsibility is there. And so we have to be what I call responsible parents. And part of my initial introduction, the most difficult person to lead is thyself. And we must lead ourselves. How do we become diverse version for our family, for our community, and for our organization? Learn to lead yourself through your actions, your intentional daily routine. And people see that. Sometimes you don't have to say a word. People will model what you do.
Exactly.
People will model what you do. That leads to
Totally.
my next question or my next thought, Lorena. And I think you're probably going to follow up with your parent conversation, but there may be some other folks in the corporate community or someone else around you in your sphere of influence. Some of your role models, some of the people that you grew up and they became mentors and teachers, and why were they important to you?
So one of my first role models has always been my father and my late father and my late mother. They just instilled so many values into my life that even now when they're gone, I see how those values help me on day-to-day decisions in my business, in my family life, in my relationship life, in my ethics, in everything. Like they've just put so much values into me. So for sure, they're like one of my first top role models. And then because I have that identity that I got from them, I was able to actually see other role models as well. Because as I mentioned, you can choose a good leader. You could have a good leader, but there's also bad leaders. I was, you know what, I can say that I was blessed that I experienced both type of leadership. But going back to another mentor, a great mentor that I had, his name was First Sergeant Massey. And he was a first sergeant. He was in high school. While I was in high school, I joined the JROTC program, and he was very similar like my dad. He was very strict. He was a first sergeant, and I just remember his voice. I mean, I'm 40 years old right now. I still remember his voice since I was 16 years old, where he would say, "No one is more professional than I am." Like I remember that was like his mantra. He would always repeat that, how he will always be professional, he will always be excellent. And even from how we would prepare like a homework, a current event homework, like we would have to present it with excellence. Even our uniform, the buttons, like we would go through inspections, like he would check everything. So I remember that he impacted my life because it kind of just, and I was happy to have that in high school because at home I had my father and my mom. And then in high school, I had another role model. I believe that I was blessed because in that high school age, you know, that grades that you're in, you're open to influence, you know, and I was very blessed to have that influence that I was in that program. So those are some role models that come to my mind for sure.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that high school junior ROTC because most of my audience do know, and I may have shared with you earlier, that's what I did for 15 plus years, teaching high school junior
That's
ROTC.
right.
But I have a comment for you, and that's what this comment, so you can read what people are saying about, wow, this is great leadership. A great leader must show the way by exemplary living. That's how they show the way. So you have a Facebook fan out there right now that's watching you and listening to you and just listening to every word you're saying and garnering your things that you're talking about. So it's so important. Absolutely. That's what great leaders are. Great leaders must exemplify their living, not just on the job, but also on the job. Their daily person is great living and exemplifying in the community, the languages that they use and the way they carry themselves, how they behave in the grocery store, how they're acknowledging people in the checkout line at the grocery store, even at the gas counter. It doesn't matter. An exemplary leader models that because you never know
Yeah, you
who's
never know who's what. Or
who.
in my case, I have three small men that are watching me constantly. They're watching what I say, what I do. whether it's in front of camera and outside of camera, when I'm in the grocery store. So it's like you said initially, our first form of leadership is at home.
It's at
And,
home.
and it brings fear, to not the bad fear, but the good fear, as to, am I doing things right? Am I being a good role model? Am I being a good example? You just it brings I want to say maybe a standard, because you
Mhm.
have this small children that they're looking at you, and it's like, and if you say, this is the thing, the new generation that's coming, they'll check on you. I mean,
Yes.
I will never tell my dad, "Well, you didn't say that." Yeah, right. I could never say that to my dad. But the new generation that's coming, like if you say, "Well, we always clean our plate after we use it," for example. And if you leave your plate there dirty, they'll be, "But didn't you say that we're supposed to clean our plate?" Like they'll call you up on that. But didn't you say that? So it's very interesting, very, very interesting.
Very interesting to share. And I'm so glad you said our children are watching. Of course, my daughters are adults now. They're doing their own thing. But I want to share a quick story, very simple story. When they were young, especially my youngest daughter, she would always hang out with dad. And I am living at Dice Air Force Base, and I have a carport, and I want to bag my car out of the carport to wash my automobile in the driveway. And my youngest daughter want to hang out with dad as dad washed the car. So I get in the driver's seat, she get in the passenger seat, and all I'm going to do is back up maybe 7 to 8 feet just to get the car from under the carport, just in the driveway, so I can use the water hose. She put her seatbelt on because that's what dad has modeled. And I'm getting ready to put the car in reverse. I had not put my seatbelt on. She reminded me to put my seatbelt on. I never forget that story. It's about what she saw me doing and what she saw me not doing. And she checked her dad. And my daughter is believe me, she's in her 40s. But the fact is, I remember that powerful story that had been an example, no matter in season or out of season, no matter what the situation is, even if you backing the car up, if the car goes in gear, the requirement is to have a seatbelt on. You think that's so simple, and my response was absolutely put the seatbelt on. But sometimes as parents, we say, well, baby, I'm just going to bag 5 feet or 7 feet. No, that should not be the response. The response should be put the seatbelt on. And that's what dad did, because you have to model that our words and our action must sync,
Always.
must sync. So it's important.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because not only is it in the home, what you share, Lorena, but it's at the workplace. We are creating a culture by our actions in the workplace. You creating a culture by your business and working with your clients and your connection with your clients and relationship with your clients and how you communicate with your clients.
Totally.
If
Totally.
something, let me ask this question, and we'll get into your business niche in a short order. But what is something you wish someone had told you while you were in school and on your career journey? What's some messages based on what you have learned now and your experiences currently? You're reflecting back, not with regrets, but just reflecting back. What would you expect someone should have said to you about your current situation and your journey?
I think there's two things that I meditate on, and one of them is habits. If I would be able to tell my younger self something, is to get good habits early on and not bad habits, because bad habits are harder to break. And then good habits, I mean, bad habits are easy to catch. Good habits are harder to develop. And then for you to get rid of bad habits is also harder. For example, waking up early, having a discipline to read a book. It's very easy to turn on the TV. It's just an easy habit. You have the control, you turn it on. But to develop, for example, a reading schedule or a reading routine, that takes time. So I would tell myself, like, I would probably read more personal growth books early on. It was one of the things that I was meditating on. And then the other thing is that I would probably spend more in learning as to trying to figure it out on my own. So for example, like when you start a business, sometimes you want to figure all the steps on your own, and that's going to take time. And as a young business owner, you want to do everything, right? To save money. Like I want to do bookkeeping, I want to do marketing, I want to do website design, I want to do this. But then if I would have hired the right individuals, I would have had more time to actually focus on what I'm good at. And it took me a couple of years for me to figure that out as a new business owner, right? And I was doing everything, but then I was doing everything halfway. I was not giving excellence to everything because I was not an expert in bookkeeping, for example. I was not an expert in how to organize the corporate filings of my corporation. I was not an expert in that. So I would tell myself that good habits, and then find the right individual from the beginning so that I can focus on what I am good at and develop that skill, not take like a bookkeeping course, you know? And I think we all go through that. And I am
Mhm.
speaking from a perspective almost of starting with a small business with no budget. I'm talking from that perspective because I know that there's different ways that people start businesses. Sometimes people inherit money and they have $100,000 to start a business, right? Sometimes there's people that got a loan to start a business, but then there's individuals that they have a dream and they just go with nothing and they just go at it, which is an incredible, also, it's an incredible journey when you do that as well. And it takes a lot of faith. So that's how I started. I didn't have the loan. I didn't have inherited money. I started on my own, but I also made a couple of mistakes. But I learned in all of those mistakes, and I think that that's one of the things that I would do. Have the patience to find the right individuals
Develop those good habits. You
and
said a
habits.
lot,
Yes,
Lorena. Develop those good habits very early. Establish a reading routine. Establish the personal growth very early on. Wishing, looking for that opportunity, seeking those mentors in those areas that you want to grow in. and
exactly.
and then people that have those business acumen that's your weak areas, hire those people so you can work on your strengths and the things that you're gifted to do. Absolutely. I love running my mouth. I love talking. The marketing is not my wheelhouse. That is not my space. And so, as you stated earlier, we make those early entrepreneurial mistakes thinking that we can do it all to save money. But in essence, you're probably spending more money because you're band-aiding so many different products and themes that you're not gifted at, and you really can't work on the things that you're gifted at to be able to grow your business, because people have, they need solutions, and you have the solution, and you need to be able to do that. Absolutely perfect. I love how you frame that. To understand, it's important that you work on your strengths. That's
Yes.
when I tell people, get to know yourself. In order to grow yourself, you need to get to know yourself. Don't spend time working on your weaknesses. Work on your gifting and grow that. And as you work on your gifting, you attract people because of your
For
gifting,
your gift. Yes.
of your gift,
And
of your.
you don't always start knowing it. You don't always, like, I didn't start my journey knowing that I was going to be here, right? You don't start. It's
Mhm.
like a journey that you're discovering your strength. You're discovering what you like. So it's a journey, and as you discover, it's like, that's why it's good to, like, every year, let me sit down, let me write my goals. Where am I going? What have I achieved? What has helped me get there? And kind of analyze what it is that you really really want and want to be doing. What is my purpose? What is my gift? And it's there's always adjustments that you begin to make
Mhm.
as doors opens, as opportunities come in, because sometimes you have opportunities and you're like, and then you're like, should I take it? Should I not? Does that make me happy? And it's like, you define that as you mature and as you get older, because I think also sometimes when you're young, you want to say yes to everything. you know I remember when I was young, I would say yes to everything. I thought that everything was an opportunity, and as you start growing and you have a family and you have a business, your priorities change, or they get organized. So it's just a lot of learning. and a lot of learning of yourself in the
It's a
journey.
lot, absolutely a lot of learning. Sometimes no could be the best answer you can give because the opportunity is probably and most likely not in alignment with your why, your purpose, and your focus. It looks attractive, it looks appealing, but is it a suit for you? Is it the right fit for you? And you have to recognize that. And if you can start developing your why, your purpose, and your goals fairly early in your entrepreneurial journey, you'll learn to say no, because based on your magnetism, based on your passion, based on your purpose, you will attract a lot of folks who want to offer you opportunities. But that those opportunities is not in your alignment. You need to be able
Exactly.
to say no to those opportunities, because that could be a distractor, even though it looks appealing, but it could be a significant distractor that takes you off your track. It's
Exactly.
important. So thanks for sharing that. Absolutely. Let's talk about your business niche. Before we do that, though, I want to do this. I want to share with my audience a video, just a small clip of a video that I have that I discovered on your website. And it's you presenting some information about what you do and how you can help entrepreneurs and small business. And I just want to share that with my audience, and then I'll stop it right around 3 minutes, and then we'll process it, because you are the expert, and I'll let you share with my audience why you are the expert. Let's see.
Thank you.
Hi there. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You're on a stage in a stadium full of 1,000 people, but only 30 of them are ready to invest in your service. Could you pick those 30 out of the crowd? How could you tell who was ready now, who was ready in a few years, a few months, or maybe even never? Second, how long will it take for you to qualify them? How long will it take for you to set those appointments? How are people marketing today? Is it working? Is it efficient? Is it cost effective? You see, that is a problem that I see with service providers today. Marketing efforts are aligned to anyone. People are running ads, hoping to catch a needle in the haystack. People are investing in time in unqualified meetings, talking to just anyone, hoping that they can catch their dream client. They're getting involved into all of the technicalities and all of the changes of social media, when in the end, to a service provider, to a consultant, to a high-ticket closer, there's only two things that matter, and that is generating appointments and conducting appointments. What if instead of marketing to everyone, you were able to pick your dream client, the one that you want to work with? What if you were able to only market to those who are actively looking for you and needing your help now? How valuable would this be for your business? How easy do you think it would be to add a few clients consistently month after month? Now, what I'm going to share with you today, you've never seen or heard of anywhere else before. And I know this because every time that I speak to consultants, service providers, high-ticket closers with high-ticket offers, it blows your mind. And it's a system that allows you to enjoy life, do what you love, maximize your time and effort, and effortlessly get those two important things. And that is generating appointments and conducting appointments. And you see, if you are consistently generating appointments and if you're consistently conducting appointments, you are going to be consistently practicing your ABCs, which means that you're always going to be closing. Now, if you're constantly closing, how different will your life be if you're closing consistently month after month? Now, this is where you're going to learn today. I'm going to share with you the 3 forces that create daily afflictions to consultants and service providers. I'm going to share with you the machine that can create sustainable, predictable appointments. I'm also going to show you how to create a message that will resonate, triggering the 2 most influential human motivators. And finally, I want to share with you a 4-step fragmentation system that converts complete strangers into lifelong clients. Most important, I can show you how to deploy this today. Okay?
But there we have it. Listen to that. Elaborate on what you're doing. This is your business niche. This is what took you from a medical condition to keeping you home to take care of your 3 boys. And I believe your husband was a truck driver for a
Yes.
while, and now he's no longer driving the truck.
Yes.
I believe he made the transition from the driver's seat to the kitchen and doing other things around the house, and that he can help you raise those three boys by being home, because as a truck driver, you don't spend a lot of time
No.
at home. So talk about your business niche and how what you do now has impacted your life.
So I want to get it. I want to give a little bit of a story of how I got into business and why I got into business. I'm going to try to summarize it because so much happened to get me to where we are today. I was in the corporate world, as you said in the introduction, and I was working with a law firm. I was actually diagnosed in my third pregnancy when my husband had left to the Army. The day that he left to the Army, I had my first checkup and I was 29 weeks pregnant. When I had my first checkup, I had noticed a lump in my breast, and long story short, it ended up being breast cancer. It was stage 3 breast cancer. My husband was away. I had no way of communicating with him. Everything was through letters. So there's a huge journey, it was about a year process, but to the glory of God, I am healed. It was stage 3. They told me it could kill me in 6 months. But while I was going through that, it made me think and meditate on my life, because I was gonna, I would think of, if I did die, where did I leave my children? How much time did I spend with them? And where was my time going? So when I'm going through this process, I have all of these questions. I go through my healing process, and then, I'm well, my husband is back. And then I'm like, what do I do? Do I go back to the corporate world where I was waking up at 5 a.m, leaving my children in the daycare, picking them up at 5, going to my mom's house because there's traffic, feeding them, then going back to traffic, going home, spend 15 minutes with them, and then putting them to bed, and then wake up and do the next same thing again. And I was not, what values, what I was spending 15 minutes with them daily. So I was like, am I going to go back to that? And not only that, because of that lifestyle, I had no time to work out. I would have to eat out. I would have to just be in the quick and the mic. I call it the microwave system. You have to put a dinner, it has to come out in 2 minutes. You have to have a conversation, it has to be in 2 minutes. Just that lifestyle. I was like, I cannot go back to this, because when I had a wake-up call. So that's when I was like, I need to, first of all, I need to do something from home, because I want to eat healthy. I want to wake up. I need my enough time to sleep. I need my 4 columns of health, which is good food, good sleep, sun, and rest, right? I need rest, and I need stress relieving activities. So that's how we opened up the marketing company. And when I first started, I started to reach out through social media. And I started doing social media for my clients. I would do content development. I started doing everything that they would need. I would do it for them. And I did not have that organization, right? I did not have that one product. Again, I was learning. I was a new entrepreneur. I was learning. At that time, I didn't have the mentor, and I didn't have, the maturity to say I need a mentor, because you have to have that maturity to say, I need a mentor. I need to follow someone. So I kind of just started going on my own. I started getting clients. I started growing because I had good work ethic, because I had integrity. My clients loved me. But at the end of the day, putting posts on Facebook, putting things on Instagram, getting them likes was not generating a profitable and a scalable business for them, or a pipeline. So even though I was giving them great work, it was not working. And they would have to let me go. So as soon as my business went up, it started to go down. And I was like, man, what am I doing? What do I do? But one of the things that I noticed was like, wait a minute, every time I get on a Zoom, this is like 8 years ago, every time I get on a Zoom, I get a client. Every time I have a connection, I have a conversation, I have an engagement, and I learn about them, and I learn about the needs, they become my client. And I was like, this is a business right here. How do I increase conversations? So then three things happened. Number one, I needed to have a way of getting in front of them. Number two, I needed to understand their pains. And number three, I had to have a message that will make me sound, not make me sound, but that it would resonate and make them take action. So then I started learning that, and I started doing it manually. So one of the things that I went into was LinkedIn, and I started creating conversations, and I will connect, and I will be, very transparent, and I would just be human and connect, and I would just start having conversations, and they would love to talk to me, and then I would get appointments. So what I started doing is I started creating the system for my same clients, because at the end of the day, what makes people take action is a solution to a problem that they have. And if I am able to put that in a message, that's what's going to make them take an action. So that's how the business started happening. So I shifted over from developing content and doing all this stuff to growing my business organically and replicating this for my clients, to where we're helping them have conversations and just turn on a faucet. I always see it as a faucet. You always have to have that faucet on of organic leads that are coming in, where you're not dependent of someone clicking on an ad, of someone scrolling, of referral. And I say this on the presentation: if your business is always depending on a referral, or your business is depending on someone to click on an ad, you're on a string. What happens if the the ads get super expensive and you cannot run ads anymore, right? What happens if systems can always change, but something that in my experience, something that doesn't change, for example, is an email. We've been using email and communicating via email for a large number of years. And when you have an email, it's a powerful thing that you can do with that email. And then you go into messages. So I had to understand my prospects. I had to understand their pains, and then I had to have a message that resonates. So what we do is we get all of that and we automate it to where our clients are having day-to-day conversations with their targeted audience, because the audience got a message that resonated with them, because it fixed an urgent problem that they have with a solution that my client has for them. At the end of the day, that's what it is about. What is a pain, and how can I fix it as best as possible and as fast as possible? That's what marketing is.
Look at you. And for those who don't know, I'll say this and then I'll paraphrase everything you just shared with. Oh yes, I'm a client. She's you see my boss on the screen there? You see her? Absolutely. Summary, you said organic. Well, one of the first thing you said though is relationships. Creating that relationship with a prospective client, understanding their needs, wants, and how you can solve their problem. Ask questions. I have discovery meetings with prospect. I have a discovery meeting today with a major company here in Allen, Texas at 2:30. A discovery meeting is what's your likes, dislikes, what are your challenges, and how can I help solve those challenges? What are their pain points? Am I resonating with you? But that face-to-face and keeping that conversation viable, keeping that relationship going. And I like the way your analogy is about the faucet. You always got to drip.
It has to be on.
It has to be on, that you constantly stand connected with them, because that relationships, we have said this quite a bit. People do business with people do they know, like, and trust. You've heard that so much. And the first part was know. I got to get to know you. That's why I ask questions about what's your favorite dessert? What's your favorite pastime? What keeps you centered? What keeps you focused? Because in the midst of having you answering that question, you also sharing with us some of your life challenges, some things you need to work on. You're being reflective and you're also being transparent. And so as a salesperson, you need to listen more and talk less. And listen, ask the question and just listen, and people will share with you some of their pains, some of their challenges, some of the opportunities they want to grow, and why you're thinking, and then how can I help you solve that problem or solve that challenge. Absolutely, they're pain points.
And you know something that I wanted to share too, going back to, because it all mixes, and I think that as business owners, I think our life just everything just, it's part of your life, right? When I started my business, I wanted to get into the business because I wanted to spend more time with my kids. I wanted to have time for my health. I wanted to have a stress-free life, right? But because I didn't have the right systems, what I wanted, all of a sudden I'm having the same lifestyle as I used to have in the corporate life. Why? Be- because now I was spending 15 hours in my business. Right now I was using this because I didn't have clients and I didn't have a system. I would go to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I was stressed looking for the next client and hoping for a referral. But then one day I was like, wait a minute. Not really. It was, you know what? It was not an awakening that I had. It was my son. My son got in a suit, requested a meet. He was 4 years old. Requested a meeting with me because apparently something in him said the only way I get my mom is with a meeting, just like she does with her clients. So he requested a meeting with me. He set up a table, and then he had a notebook, and then he had questions on there. And then the first question was, why don't we spend so much time together? And that was like, wow. So my business structure was affecting my family life. And that's not the goal that I had when I wanted to start my business, right? So so I'm sharing this story because I've been through that process of not having the right system, and it takes me back to marketing. Marketing takes a lot. And sometimes you have to spend so much time on the marketing task, but if you don't have the right systems, you're going to be working a lot of hours. But the idea is to be smart. And I'm like, how can I have systems to leverage my time so that my time is actually invested in my income producing activities? So my life, like that conversation with my son, I was like, I'm running my business the wrong way, and I needed to make a change. So I don't know. I think I'm an individual that everything just, it comes into my life, and it's part of everything. So that's why that situation led me to having a system, a, 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 a system that is rinse, repeat, the faucet it's on. I'm leveraging systems so that I'm not working 24 hours or X amount of hours trying to get leads. The leads just come in.
Come in.
The leads just come in.
Come in.
And now I get to focus on what's good. And then I get to have a healthy business schedule, right? Where I'm able to work. And back then I got sick. Like I got sick again. When I was working in all those hours in my business, I would go to sleep late. I started eating bad. Like everything that I had learned, it completely collapsed. And then I had to rebuild again. With the right systems.
With the right systems in place. Before I make any comments, I want to share one of the comments that you're getting right now from a Facebook user. Wow, you are a resource-oriented marketer in practice. I like that last part, in practice, not in theory, in practice, because sometimes you get a lot of information in theory, and the person that you get the theory from is not in practice. And so
Right.
I love what she said about that. I love what she said about that. You said a lot, leveraging your time, leveraging the system, and income producing activities so you can have time with the 4-year-old that put on a suit and say, Mom, I need to make an appointment with you so I can get some time with you.
Yeah.
What an awakening moment, Lorena. What an awakening moment when your son have to get on your calendar to spend some time.
And he set up like a little table with the lamp, and he put like 2 seats. And I was proud of it. I couldn't believe all the effort that he had done, but I was also, my heart was also like, oh my God, I need to fix this. this is not why I got into business. It was not why I got into business. So I had to fix it. And again, leveraging systems, learning. I first started doing everything like manually, and then we developed an automation to it.
Absolutely.
So it's a learning process. Leadership and entrepreneurship and being in business, it's a learning. You're learning, you're tweaking. That's why I think one of the things that we've discussed in our previous conversations is we always have to keep that learning spirit. We always have to be learning. We cannot say that we know it all.
That's my message to the world. You and I have had several great conversations. You got to have a growth mindset. You have to always be a student of learning, a student of reading, a student of growing. Always be intentional about your growth. What a powerful message. I don't need to say a word. You just said it all. Absolutely. And for those who want to get in contact with you, there's a website that's streaming right now. Please write that website down, and don't write that website down in theory and leave it on paper. Copy and paste, type it into your web browser and click on it and open up and become a practitioner so you can reach out to Lorena. I want you to do that. I'm challenging you to do that so you can spend more quality time that make you now know. If you don't, your 4-year-old or your 12-year-old might have to make an appointment with you because you're not spending time with him or her. So I want you to leverage your time and leverage your activities. And to follow up to this, Lorena, I want you to give us maybe a chapter. If a book was written about you, what would be the title and what would be the summary?
Wow, that's a
great question.
Wow, I have to give you a couple of seconds. What would be the title? It would be something like Survivor, I guess. Survivor and surviving and blessed. And survivor and blessed, because the summary of my life is that I've encountered a lot of challenges. A couple of months ago, I went back to where I was raised. I visited my home country. I saw where my parents came out of. And my father was a very poor man. When he started working when he was 5 years old in the fields. He would pick up coffee beans. He came to the United States to give us for us to have more opportunity, and here I am. I went through cancer. The diagnosis was that it could kill me in 6 months, and here I am. A lot of times business, they say that when you start a business, it can fail. I think there's a time frame of X amount of business that close, and here we are, and I think that the summary would be that, just keep it would be a story of falling and getting back up. It will be and getting back up with joy, and getting back up with, okay, I this didn't work, like now let me try this. And as you get older, God brings the right individuals to you. God brings the doors. He opens the door. So it's like, it would be that the summary would be that, I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in God. And I think that just, if there's going to be hardships, there's going to be difficult situations, but if I align my principles and my values and I pray, I believe he will guide me, because I cannot talk for an hour saying that I'm awesome or that everything that happened with me that was awesome without giving the glory to the one that deserves the glory, because at the end, I always had guidance. I always had a message. I always had the right book. I always had the right radio station giving me the message at the perfect moment that I needed. All of a sudden, I always found the YouTube video that I learned something that I needed to learn in that moment. So I think it's a long summary.
Absolutely. That's a phenomenal summary. And to shorten that would be intentional about your growth, because if you're intentional, the law of magnetism, the law of attraction. You will attract the right YouTube. You will attract the right book. You will attract the right message. You will attract the right TV channel. You will attract the right documentary. You will attract the person in your life that's going to add value because you're being intentional about your growth.
And you know what? We're in a world where there's no excuse to learn something. There is information out there. There is always information out there. You just have to have that persistence of finding it, of going and if I don't know how to do this, I'm going to find out. And I think that is one of the, I would say, a successful trait that I've had, that wherever I was at, whether I was an employee, whether I was a volunteer, if I didn't know how to do something, I would find out how to do it. I would never say I don't know and then just leave it there. Or sometimes I'll hear a word and I'm in a conversation. Obviously, my first language is Spanish, and my English language is not, like I don't have a strong vocabulary. But if I hear a word after the phone call, I'll go and I'll look it up. What does that mean?
Yes.
So you have to do that with everything. So we're in an age where we can always find out. We can always find information. There's now we have YouTube. Now we have books. Information is out there for us to learn it and to explore it. And that's part of growth. It goes back to what you're saying, intentionality and growth.
Intentionality and growth. And there's no excuse. I like the way you said that. And there's no excuse. We can Google and find free books, free PDFs, free magazine, things that you don't have to pay for. You have access to information, but you got to have an appetite and a hunger for growth. An appetite and a hunger for growth. That's what's so important. Ladies and gentlemen, you see the website for Lorena that's screaming right now. Please write that website down. Go to the website. Get in touch with her. She can add so much value. If you just want to have a conversation about life itself, you can definitely reach out to Lorena. But I also want you to visit this website as well. I want you to write this down. Make sure you be intentional about that profile that you see, about that website that's streaming right now at the bottom of the screen. There's so much free resources and content inside that website. Access to my webinars, access to my leadership development letter, to my personal growth letter, to my life coaching letter, to my YouTube channel, my current webinar that's coming up, my webinar in July, access to communication assessments, or either leadership and communications assessment. In order to grow yourself, you need to know yourself, and sometimes assessment to see what your strengths are and develop a personal growth plan. That's linked inside of that information. It's called Linktree. Just click on that link. Make sure you download that link, and don't become a theorist, become a practitioner. And a practitioner, you've been intentional about your growth. Lorena, I am so thankful that you joined us today on Win with Willie. You and I can continue to be talking and talking and talking. You have so much in-depth and wisdom to share with my audience about business, about growth, about your life journey. And one thing about everything, ladies, life is not a marathon. It's a journey. And every day you need to be intentional about your life journey. Life is about relationships and serving others. You and I need to be intentional about serving others and about our life journey. And so with that, guess what? We coming to the end of another phenomenal broadcast with Win with Willie Leadership Talk Show every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Join me. You never know what special guest is going to be talking to us and sharing with us. Win with Willie is all about encouraging us to fight on, to lead on, to serve on, grow on, and reaching our fullest God-given potential and becoming the best version of ourselves. Because the best gift that you and I can give our family and our community is the best version of ourselves. So remember, we'll see you next week. Be blessed. Be blessed. No excuses. We must inspire until we expire.